Hello and welcome. Today, uh, I want to talk about lead scoring or just scoring leads overall. Um, Interesting story. So the content that you're about to see today, the presentation, the ideas, and even the example, by the way, because we're gonna end off with an example. So a lot of this really has been brewing in the works. I'd say for some in between 3 to 6 months, right? I was introduced to the topic or idea. I've been familiar with the concept of scoring leads for quite some time, but I'd say it's maybe 8 to 9 months ago that I actually started looking deeper into it, and it was through a business associate of mine. He might be watching this. I don't know, but his name is Miguel, and he said something that really challenged me, that kind of what is I guess he was speaking about the value of actually scoring your leads and how that ultimately drives you to close more leads. And so it became something that I really wanted to embrace. And so at the time, because I had been doing a lot of these recordings and a lot of these presentations, I thought, hey, let me do one on lead scoring. And my team actually put the presentation, put these slides together quite fast. This is 5 6 months back, but I was about to start. I was about to not to start. I was about to do it, but then I stopped because um, I realized that I wasn't actually scoring my own leads, and uh, and this was part of my conversation sort of with Miguel, because I was kind of saying, it's this, it's this, that, and just kind of simplify it and implement it. And at the time, I was kind of, oh, I want to do this talk about lead scoring because I want to get better at it. But I thought, hey, if I actually implement it and I use it and I try to fit it into what I am already doing, then this recording right here, or what we're going to talk about here today, would have been so much more valuable. And you will probably notice that in the conversation and in the examples that I give you. We're going to end off today with an actual example where I'm actually going to show you um, the bot that I've built to help me manage and close leads more efficiently, and ultimately also score them. Kind of a long intro story, but without further ado, let's talk about lead scoring. So today, I figured we would kind of keep it somewhat simple, right? So we're gonna talk about different criteria that you can use to score your leads. We're gonna talk about implementing a lead scoring system, right? So I've implemented a lead scoring system into my business management efforts, and so we'll look into that, and then we're gonna talk about how do you identify high quality leads, right? I think if you talk about it right off the top of your head, you may find or you may name certain things, but um, let's go over it. We'll go over them in a more sort of um, detailed way or manner, if you will. Um, and and then we'll talk about managing and closing leads in a team, right? If you work by yourself or if you're a solopreneur, great. But most businesses work in teams, whether they're full-time teams or even part-time teams or freelancers or other people who are just stakeholders and who are involved in the in things and in the day-to-day. So um, we're going to talk about how you can manage, sort of how you manage and close leads in a team, and then closing off why a CRM just makes everything simpler and faster. I've been in the CRM world, I'd say, I don't know, probably 6 to 7 years. I've been using, updating, setting up, testing multiple CRMs, and I absolutely love them. I'd love to show you or give you a demo of my CRM, but there's probably a video that I will. Actually, there is. We've got a recording coming out just like this that is talking about implementing a CRM. So maybe you might catch that. That's in the works. I don't know how long that will take, but without further ado, let's let's dive into it. Nice. So the first one we said we're going to look at the different criteria for scoring leads, right? And you can imagine, right? Demographics, behavior, engagement, and so on and so forth. Um, but before we dive deeper in, so did you know that businesses that excel in lead scoring actually achieve a remarkable 77% in higher lead generation ROI compared to those who do not utilize this effective strategy. And this again goes back to my conversation I had with the person I was talking about earlier on, that it's just if you're scoring your leads and if you're looking at your leads based on how effective they are, you're bound to be more effective. And this is giving us a number of 77%. Now, the reason why you are more effective is simply because you are prioritizing leads that are more imminent or that have a higher likelihood of converting before uh, in how you prioritize and how you go about um, executing your work, if you will. And efficient lead scoring is not, it's not just a simple strategy, it's really a game changer. And you'll see when I show the demo later on, right? It's for significantly increasing conversion rates and overall sales productivity, right? The first thing is you're going to convert much better because you're going to look at your leads differently. Because now all of a sudden, it's almost like they have a probability of success and failure right there. And just more sales productivity. If a lead has a 20% score, or a score of 20 out of 100, or a score of 2 out of 10, you're not going to spend as much effort on it, which, yeah, it's going to make you more productive. So, what are the essential key elements that one should focus on to implement on the lead scoring system? It will be different depending on what it is that you do, the nature of your business, also your sales cycle, right? It depends. Some people's sales cycle is a week, some people's sales cycle may be 5, 10 years, right? Where you literally have to keep following up with somebody. Um, Over that particular period of time, or even build the relationship over that period of time before they actually go ahead and even consider transacting with you. So let's dive deeper into this topic. So we're going to look at a number of different criteria, right? But we're going to look at sort of the most common lead scoring criteria. The first one is demographics, right? Are they the right age? I was doing some strategy the other day for a ed tech application that is focused on school children, right? And one of the very interesting things we were debating, where it was kind of, when we look at the demographics for that particular product. Yes, the demographic of the user is a young child, but we should arguably be targeting the parents because they're ultimately the ones who are going to um, make the purchase. Um, but then we also considered how the school, the educators, the principals, the education board, how they may too be considered part of the demographic for this product. Different people, they all have different influences or play different roles in and around the particular product, but they should all be considered kind of as um, part of the demographics, if you will. And so, if you were implementing a lead scoring criteria, for example, for the product that I just spoke, you could have sort of different scores depending on the demographics of the actual population or the lead that you're speaking to. Lead behavior, this is probably the biggest one, or one of the biggest, right? Because there's no better indication than lead behavior. Lead behavior means they clicked on something. They opened an email. It could be, they gave you their information purposefully. They completed a form somewhere. These are all behaviors, right? That demonstrate interest, um, and you've gotta take those higher than, for example, saying, oh, they're the right age. Because they may be the right age, but somebody who's not the right age but exhibits the right behaviors may perhaps have a higher score. Of course, the next thing, obviously, you also got to look whether this person can afford the product. It's not just about exhibiting the right behaviors, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that exhibiting sort of lead behavior is something that counts really, really high. Website visits, right? We've all seen that. Did they visit your website a couple times? Marketing is so multi-layered today, right now, that you could literally website visits. It's just one of the criteria, right? It's kind of they visited my website and they're the right age, and so it's not just they visited your website and that alone gives them a high lead criteria. Um, and this is the fun thing that I learned about implementing a lead scoring system is that you learn to weigh certain things differently, and you also learn to see certain behaviors combined or certain things combined, where it's like, oh, they're the right age, they show the right behavior, they visited my. So it's kind of where then the combination of these behaviors then determines how interested that person or the particular person is. Let's keep moving. Next one, content downloads. Did they download your content? If you have ebooks and things like that, and this is where you start to see where lead magnets become very, very important. Not very important, but there are things that nurture interest, and there are things that allow the prospect or the lead to get to know more about you. But in turn, it also helps you to know more about them, right? You get to know more about them because you know that they downloaded this or that they downloaded that, right? And it's just a way for you to deepen that relationship. Engagement, right? That's one thing we all love. This could come from social media. Maybe they liked the post of yours on social media. Maybe they shared it. Maybe they commented on it. Any engagement they may have with your brand, even if it's having a conversation with somebody at a booth at a trade show, depending on what your brand is and the multiple different touch points you have. Um, and this also again reiterates, engagement or having multiple touch points is so, so, so profound. Social media engagement. So this engagement, excuse me. So this engagement didn't necessarily refer to social media because we actually have a social media engagement here. But we spoke a little bit on social media engagement. So for that particular reason, we'll keep it moving. Email interactions. Did they respond to your email? Do you have a newsletter? Maybe they responded to your cold email newsletter. Maybe they responded to your drip campaign. Um, but email interactions is also another way for you to gauge lead interest. Event attendance. Did they attend your virtual event? Was it a trade show? Was it so and so on and so forth? And so, if you're able to measure and gauge all of these touch points, you're able to determine the value and the likely interest or probability of these leads then converting. So these are all very um, valid, I would say, or common lead scoring criteria, right? But let's look at a few examples, right? So when we talk about demographic information, what exactly are we speaking about? So demographics, it could be anything like age, location, job title, literally any information specific to that particular person, company size, just anything that helps you understand this person in tailoring your marketing efforts. The crux of marketing today really is that you want to be able to be specific, to be tailored. Everybody wants to feel like they're an individual, and not like they're just a number or that they're just another lead, right? Um, And here's an example. So, a business to business software company would likely prioritize leads from large corporations higher than those of smaller companies, right? So, this is a way to use demographic information to sort and prioritize your leads. Lead behavior. Spoke about that or covered that earlier. So let's look at some examples. So behavioral data plays a critical role in defining the lead's intent and interest. Actions such as website visitors, content downloads. I gave you these examples earlier on as well. So these email interactions are indicators of how engaged the prospect is with your brand, right? And here's an example. So if a lead frequently visits your pricing page or if they download a brochure, it suggests a strong interest of making a purchase, right? Those are both examples of lead behavior. They can actually also be characterized as some of the other lead scoring criteria that we've got coming up, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Um, but these are all, it's a behavior, right? And that's why I said that's why I said earlier on that lead behavior is probably one of the highest um, considered scoring lead criteria. And you'll see when I show you my example. I keep talking about it. When I show you my example of my lead scoring, you'll see. So sort of behavior is it plays a huge part. So if they engage with your email campaigns by clicking on links to webinars or case studies, it just indicates that they want to learn more, right? And you cannot fake this. I cannot overemphasize this lead behavior. It's the actual person's behavior. Unless your analytics are failing or are providing you wrong data, that cannot be replicated. Rate I rate lead behavior higher or above um, anything else or the majority of these criteria, to be honest. Website visits, you might recall this one as well. So, the number of times a lead visits your website and the pages they browse can indicate their readiness to buy. Did they go to the price? But when people ask for price, they're usually um, trying to see if they can fit it into their budget or they're imagining fitting it into their budget. So, for instance, a prospect visiting a product page frequently might be nearer to making a purchasing decision. Um, and someone who visits the project page um, multiple times, they may be closer to making a decision than somebody who only makes it to the homepage, right? And because the person that only made it to the homepage, maybe they weren't that interested. Maybe they got to the homepage and they didn't like what they see. So all of these things play a factor, and this kind of behavior suggests that they are actively researching and considering their options. And this can be a strong signal for your sales team to engage with them more proactively. So if you're able to organize all of this data in one place, where ideally your sales team can see, they can have visibility into it, it makes things much simpler. Um, so, understanding these patterns can help your business tailor the outreach efforts and provide the right information at the right time to facilitate the buying process. That's inevitably what you want to do. You want to use technology and have it work with you, for you, not against you. And when I say with you, for you, it's there to add value. It's there to make things simpler. It's there to add clarity, as in you can see things more clearer than you would if you were just working on pen and paper, like we did that before computers were such a thing. Content downloads, right? So these downloading white papers, case studies, or ebooks are showcasing interest in specific products or solutions. This can be a clear sign that they're moving down this sales funnel, right? They are going from aware to interested, from interested to desiring, from desiring to actually taking action. So these engagements indicate that these prospects are not only passively browsing, but that they're focusing in depth information to help them evaluate their options. By recognizing this level of interest, companies can tailor their follow up strategies to provide relevant content or personalized outreach to further nurture these leads. The key word here really is relevant content and personalized outreach. There's nothing like a personalized outreach. When somebody contacts you and says, "Hey, John," you don't always want to say that we know that you clicked on here and you saw this and you were here, because sometimes that can actually creep people out, right? um, and you don't want to creep people out. You want to avoid the cringe as much as you can, because the cringe only makes people um, uncomfortable, and it brings up their barrier, uh, for lack of a better word. But yeah, if you're personalized, as in you're speaking to them directly without them feeling like you violated their privacy, there's nothing better than that. And it ultimately it just guides them to the next phase, whatever it is. It may not necessarily be to make the purchase. You may just have made the prospect more aware or better informed, um, right? But that's just getting them to the next phase, and you want to help people through the different phases um, of making a purchase because they are there. Some people can go through the different phases within a couple of minutes if you are in the right setting and you communicate in the right way. But sometimes it may take a little longer to go through those phases. And so anything that, such as content downloads, like we're speaking over here, that can allow you to be more personalized in your outreach and in your approach, you definitely want to go down that route. Email interactions. So, behavioral data plays a critical role in defining the lead's intent and interest, right? And email is just another great example because actions such as website visits, content downloads, and email interactions are indicators of how engaged the prospect is with your brand. So, for instance, if a lead frequently visits your pricing page, we used this example earlier on actually, we mentioned something very similar, and the downloads of a product brochure, it suggests a strong interest in making a purchase. Or if they engage with your email campaigns by clicking on the links to webinars or case studies, it indicates a desire to learn more about your offerings. And that's why I like to call it your long tail content. That's all the people that are just kind of semi interested, they're not sure. Your long tail content has to be long in today's world. That means you've got to have a lot of social media content. You've got to have your newsletters. You've got to have your downloads. You've got to have your YouTube videos. All of these other things just to keep people interested and wanting to learn more. And email is a great such way because it's a way to get into people's inboxes once a month, once a quarter, once a year, every holiday, whenever it is that you choose to send out an email communication. And my favorite thing about email is um, most people, most people who have busy lives, they constantly check their email. It's almost a known fact, right, or an inevitable fact, if you will, because you're getting constant communication. You may have multiple inboxes, but trust me, you're getting in. Such people get important information in their inboxes, and for that reason, they they check email. It's something that they do. It's something that they verify. It's a meaningful way to grab their attention and to communicate with them for sure. Lead engagement. And now earlier on, when we spoke about engagement, we spoke a little bit about social media engagement when it wasn't, because social media engagement came afterwards. So that's why right here we're actually distinguishing that this one is not social media. So behavioral data plays a critical role in defining your lead's interest, right? So actions such as web visits, email interactions, shows how engaged the prospect is with your brand. So if a lead frequently is visiting the price page and downloads the brochure, it just shows that they're really, really interested in making the purchase. So this is just engagement, and it really covers some of the things that we've spoken about previously. It's kind of hard to speak about these things without having a little bit of overlap, unfortunately. So social media interactions, what are these about? Likes, shares, comments, or even direct messages. They're golden data points, and these are all. They can also be categorized as user behavior that we spoke about earlier on. So a lead engaging heavily on your social media, on social platforms, is showing considerable interest. It's important to nurture that interest, but I also have to say, don't make the mistake of making the assumption that if somebody communicates or engages with you on social media, they want to buy, even if that post is a direct sell. Social media is exactly that. It's a social space, and people are there to be social. And so if you're putting out content or if you're interacting, people are going to interact back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're interested. But if they are, you should definitely pursue that interest. So if a lead frequently visits your pricing page or downloads a product brochure, I think we've also covered this. It just indicates that they want to learn more about your offering. And so the final one that we have here is now event attendance, actually second to last. Second to last, no, this is the last one. So event attendance, so participation in your events, whether they're in person or virtual, it's a strong sign of engagement. Leads investing time to join your events are likely more serious and could be high quality prospects. Such involvement can provide businesses with the opportunity to establish deeper connection with these leads, answer their questions in real time, and further demonstrate the value of their solutions, ultimately increasing the likelihood of conversion into real customers. So, event attendance is a great way to score your leads as well. And this can be in person, this can be virtual. Even the people who sign up and don't show up, right? They showed interest. You're not sure why they did not show up, but you should definitely take that as a sign of interest and nurture that in any possible way that you can. So that was that. Now let's talk about a real life story. Um, let's share this mini case study. So Gartner held a series of insightful webinars specifically aimed at high level management professionals in the tech industry. They observed that leads who not only attended the webinars but also participated actively converted at an astonishing rate, three times higher than those who did not engage in the same way, right? And this is a case study of how gathering information and monitoring the leads. Um, I'd say monitoring the engagement or monitoring the involvement of certain leads versus others is going to always lead in better and higher conversions because you focus your attention where there actually is going to be some return, or the most possible return. This is significant finding. This significant finding led the organization to shift their focus towards these highly engaged leads, recognizing their potential for higher conversion rates. Consequently, Gardner refined their lead scoring model to better target these individuals, ensuring that their marketing efforts were aligned with the interests and behaviors of the most engaged prospects. So the moment this probably should have been highlighted, I'll chat to the team after this, but um, the moment you're able to realize and identify certain um, leads in your pipeline or certain behaviors that leads can exhibit that identify or resemble a higher willingness to buy, you should definitely pursue it because, again, it's going to work in your favor. And especially if you're constantly monitoring and evaluating your lead performance, your lead close rate is also another very important thing, or even your lead close rate at different times of the year, at, through leads that are generated through different lead sources, for example. All of these things matter. And so by doing so, go back to the to our story. By doing so, they were able to enhance their overall marketing strategy, directing resources toward leads that demonstrated a clear and actionable interest in their offerings, thereby maximizing the effectiveness of their campaign. Um, so this all came just they were able to increase their close rate three times, or the close rate was three times higher just by targeting those people that were more active during the webinars. That was it. It's just they had the webinars were already happening. It was just a matter of identifying and targeting more aggressively those people who actually engaged in the webinar. If you think about it, this is it's a real life example that's almost like really simple and straightforward. And these types of things happen all the time, but they only really actualize or turn into reality if you pursue them, if you are looking for them, if you are identifying, and if you are actually pushing to their conversion. So, with that, what can we conclude here? So, by understanding your demographics, their behaviors, the engagement metrics of your leads, you can prioritize your efforts towards those that are more likely to convert. And this is what I love about the whole concept of lead scoring is that it is actually a lot simpler when you understand it. You're just you're just breaking down the people that you're trying to target, the behaviors they are likely to exhibit, and then you're prioritizing people who fit that criteria and demonstrate those behaviors. That's it. This becomes a pivotal strategy for effective lead management, and ultimately it just drives higher ROI. Remember, the better you tailor your lead scoring to include these criteria, the more efficient and successful your lead generations are going to be. So, the more pinpoint your lead scoring criteria becomes, the better your lead generation is going to be, right? Where it's not just eventually once you actually have a lead scoring criteria. Like I mentioned earlier on that I just implemented mine. So once you actually have that in place, um, and you actually now begin to fine tune that, you immediately exponentially grow your lead generation efforts in terms of campaigns, in terms of closings, and so on and so forth. So spoken a lot about this. I'm sure you must be intrigued, right? So, how do you go about implementing a lead scoring system? Sharing some of my experience. So, what is the secret behind high quality leads? So, did you know that companies that implement a lead scoring system experience a 208% increase in revenue from marketing efforts? This startling statistic demonstrates the power of and significance of an effective lead scoring system. But what components make up such a system and how can it be implemented for optimal results? Let's dive a little deeper. So let's understand the key components. Well, maybe let's break it down. So, understanding the key components of a lead scoring system. So, we're going to go over three key components. Actually, no, more, six. Six key components of a lead scoring system. And so, assigning values to leads involves creating a structured numerical system to rate potential customers based on predefined criteria. Um, excuse me. The scoring can range from demographic details to engagement, or all of those different criteria that we just looked at, right? You can make this as complex as you like, or you can be smart and just make it as simple as you like. And making it simple can be things like just keeping the scoring simple out of 100, for example, or just making the scoring percentage based, or percentage basis out of 100, I suppose, making it out of 10, something like that. But it's just being able to make it simpler. So let's look at the first three, right? And so we spoke about them, about demographics being a criteria to potentially score your leads. And you remember when we looked at that, I said that, you know, I was working on the campaign for the edtech tool. We're trying to target kids, but you know, if we got a kid in as a lead, you know, they would score high for demographic because they are the right demographic, but they probably wouldn't score so high when it came to, let me give you an example. They probably might not score so high in terms of um, having the right budget, which could be, being able to afford it themselves because their parents would inevitably be the ones buying it, right? That could kind of be a demographic, but let's go. Let's go deeper. So consider demographics. So when assigning values because of certain characteristics, you can make a lead more valuable. Right. So, for example, a B2B company might score a lead higher if they hold a managerial position or work in a relevant industry, right? And there's another example. If a lead is a CEO in the tech sector, they might receive a score of 10. Whereas if they're an intern in the same sector, they might receive a score of 3. This is actually a perfect example, right? So if we say that demographics is based out of 10, um, and you know, if somebody's a CEO, they get a score out of 10 for this particular question. Um, a if they are an intern, as we see, they'd get a 3. So behavior based scoring. So you heard me say that lead behavior is one of the ones I rate highest, right? Because you can't fake it, right? It's if a lead behaves or exhibits a certain behavior, like they exhibited that behavior, like it's not like you're, unless if your analytics is misconstrued. So behavioral data includes all actions taken by the lead: website visits, email opens, clicks. It's actually things that they did. And different actions should have different weightings, because if somebody shows up at the event versus somebody just signing up for the event, right? The person that actually shows up can get a 10 out of 10. The person that just signs up can maybe get a 5, or a lower scoring, but you can still give them a score because it's sort of, you want to just evaluate how people did for that particular thing. So an example here: visiting a pricing page could give you a score of 7, while downloading a white paper or an ebook may give you a score of 7. Sorry, visiting a pricing page gives you a score of 5, and downloading a white paper gives you a score of 7. Engagement based scoring. So, engagement scoring focuses on how often a lead interacts with your brand, right? How often and how many times, where as well. What kind of engagement was it? Um, so, regular communication and activity indicate interest and should be scored accordingly. Leads who respond to marketing emails, for example, or participate in webinars might get a higher score than those who don't, as we mentioned earlier on, right? The fact that they actually went to the webinar just gives them a higher score. So let's explore lead scoring models, right? So lead scoring models are frameworks that help you prioritize leads depending on the scoring system you choose. Now, I have to warn you that um, when these slides were created and the way that we created these slides, it's almost kind of, it was as if we were um, making the assumption that you're picking an either or model, right? And you will see when I show you the demo for my actual lead scoring bot, it's not an either or model. It's I created certain criteria and the bot then evaluates the information that I feed it based on the criteria that I've given it. But it's evaluating based on everything: demographic, behavior, engagement, everything. So let's look at these. So demographic based models, let's look at an example. So such models grade leads primarily on their demographic information, assigning higher scores to leads that fit the ideal customer profile. So for example, a software company targeting small businesses might prioritize leads from small business owners over large corporations, right? And again, this is a demographic based model where you're scoring leads and you're just looking at demographics, for example. I don't really like the one sided model, but again, these are just fictional examples here. So, behavior based model. So, a behavior based model focuses on how leads interact with your business. Actions indicating strong interest or intent to purchase get higher scores. So, an example here would be a lead who attended a product demonstration and requested a pricing quote might have a higher score than someone who only read a blog. Engagement based models, these models take into account the level of engagement and interaction frequency. The more engaged the lead is, the higher the score. And an example here is leads who engage regularly uh, on social media or attend multiple events might get a higher ranking. Um, so with that, let's talk about lead scoring automation, right? So I told you about lead scoring bot, which you will see at the end. I keep hyping it up, I know. Using manual processes to score leads can be time consuming and fraud errors. And yeah, it just truly is. You're bound to just run into a number of errors if you try to do that, if you try to do everything manually, right? So CRM integration. So CRM systems can automate the scoring process by using algorithms that evaluate and assign scores based on predefined criteria. An example of such tools can be HubSpot, Salesforce, which are obviously two of arguably the biggest CRMs. If you have not heard of them, you've probably been living under a rock. But HubSpot and Salesforce, and they're very powerful tools. So they continuously integrate lead scoring into their platforms, updating scores in real time. That is what they do. But you don't need HubSpot and Salesforce. They're not the only ones who can score your leads. Um, AI and machine learning. You know, I'm saying that perfect segue, AI, machine learning, and we're talking about they're not the only ones who can do it. But if you were to go into ChatGPT, even if you don't have a lead scoring criteria, um, I guess what I'm trying to say is the fastest way that you can implement a lead scoring criteria. You could go into ChatGPT, you could give it a brief description of your business or what it is that you do. That you could also describe your sales process. You could describe the lead, and you could do all of that in 2 minutes. This is my business. This is what I do. I'm John. I run a dog shampoo parlor. I have three different pricing models. Blah 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 blah. Somebody came in today. They asked me these five questions. This is what I gathered about them. Can you score this lead out of 10? Score this lead out of 100? And ChatGPT will literally give you that. ChatGPT, Claude, whatever language learning model you use, it will do that. Um, so AI and machine learning. So advanced tools utilize AI and machine learning to continuously refine and improve scoring models based on past leads and outcomes. And this is the fun thing if you use AI or if you constantly use the same chat GPT window type of thing, it will keep a historical of scores of leads it has given you in the past. So it will keep the historical of conversations you have had in the past and it will leverage or use those whenever it has to score a lead again. So an example here is these systems might identify that leads from certain regions show higher purchase likelihood or automatically adjusting scoring criteria. Fun thing about using AI or using technology is that it will use information that you don't have access to. It will use information that you would probably not have otherwise considered because that is the power of technology. It's got the ability to do more with less. And so these are some ways that you can incorporate technology and automation into your lead scoring. So, what do we conclude for this section? Right? Implementing a lead scoring system isn't just a matter of assigning random numerical numbers. And if you're going to take anything away from today or from this session here, take that away. That your lead scoring is not just about random numerical numbers or random numerical values. So it's about understanding and applying demographic based and behavior based and engagement based models, right? So we looked at instances where we were just looking at one model or the other, or one model or one scoring criteria, but inevitably, what you really want is you want to be able to have multiple models. You want to be able to look and give different scores for different things to the particular lead or potential lead. And through strategic automation, here's the fun part, you can ensure that your scoring process is efficient, that it's accurate, and that ultimately it's leading to higher quality leads and increased revenue because that is what you want. The reason why you want to assign these numerical values to your leads is just so that you know which ones are important and which ones are not. Because if you know that a lead scores 95 out of 100, you're going to arrive at that meeting on time and you're probably going to do a lot more research um, before you get to the meeting because you know that the likelihood from the prospect side is very high of them closing because they need your service, they want your service, and you align service or product, you align with what it is that they need. And so it's one of those where I almost call it fumble the bag. If you fumble the bag, if you, if you mess it up, that you end up losing that um, lead. And by embracing these methods and tools, you elevate your marketing and sales efforts. And so you ensure your time and resources are invested and the prospects likely to convert. So, my question to you is, are you ready to revolutionize your approach and start scoring leads with precision? I hope you are. So, how do you identify those high quality leads? I think we've started every one of these sections with a did you know? So I didn't want to disappoint you. And here's this did you know? So companies that excel at lead nurturing generate 50% more sales ready leads at a 33% lower cost. This actually kind of makes sense, right? Because um, so if you're actually nurturing your leads and nurturing your leads has a lot to do with personalization. You're nurturing that relationship in a way that prepares them for the purchase or that eliminates any potential objections they may have. And if you're nurturing them, you're getting more sales ready leads at a lower cost because you don't have to spend more money getting leads because the leads that you do have, you're doing better at closing them. And this fascinating statistics underscores the importance of identifying high quality leads. That's in essence what this strategy shows you, or what this statistic or what this number here is showing you, is that if you can identify high quality leads, you can close them much better. And a critical component in optimizing marketing strategies and boosting conversions. So let's delve deeper into how we can develop these clear definitions and criteria. So, developing clear definitions and criteria for scoring your leads, right? So, we've got interest, fit, and engagement. So, let's look at the first one, interest. So, interest is gauged by how much a lead demonstrates an interest in your product or service. And I think that this sort of has to be the first one. Are they even interested? Fit may also be a good first one, right? Um, excuse me. But I like the interest because if the interest is coming from the leads part, half of the work is already done. And they're likely to be interested because they're aware of your brand. They came across something that spoke to them. So you've put out your marketing, and it's the kind of the work doing itself to demonstrate the interest. And so this can be measured by, and we've got kind of looked at a couple of examples, right? We looked at content interaction, website behavior, and here's an example: a B2B software company might consider a lead at a medium-sized tech firm as a high fit based on their firmographics. So this has to do with interest. Fit. Are they a right fit? I go back to the example. You're offering something for children. Um, Children might be interested, but are they the right fit? Because do they have the pocket money? Do they have the ability? Do they have the buying power to actually buy it, or do they have to go and ask their parents for it? So fit. The fit of a lead pertains to how closely they match your ideal customer profile, and this is based on demographics, firmographics, geographics. Location may also play a role. So consider a lead who consistently attends an industry-focused webinar but has yet to make a purchase. Their high level of interest makes them a promising prospect over somebody who is coming to the webinar for the first time but is asking a lot of questions, right? Both very interested, but perhaps the former has has a deeper interest because they've been interested for a longer period of time. Engagement. So engagement involves direct interactions between the lead and your brand or sales team. Like email open rates, click-through rates, social media interaction. Here, it can also come down to customer behavior, like or the lead behavior, like we mentioned earlier on. And so, a retail e-commerce business might find a lead who frequently engages with their social media content and regularly opens their email, highly engaged. And these, ladies and gentlemen, interest and fit are developing clear definitions and criteria. So when we talk about how do you actually score your leads, we we looked at all these other different ways to score, but in essence, your criteria can be broken down into three different clusters, if you will. These are clusters that you then fall, that the other definitions then fall into, or uh, the other details, if you will, the content interaction, website behavior, demographics, firmographics, and so on and so forth. How are we doing for time? Okay. Um, so you've implemented your lead score criteria. How are you going to utilize the scoring data? So lead scoring is the process of assigning a value to each lead based on their behavior and engagement. And these scores will help you identify leads that are most likely to convert. We kind of covered that. I'm sure you understand that. I hope you do. Behavior and engagement indicators. So incorporating leads on how incorporating data on how leads interact with your brand. So visit frequency, for example. So frequent visits to product pages or service areas, content downloads, ebooks, white papers, case studies, direct inquiries, contact form submissions, or demo requests. So, for instance, a lead frequently visiting your pricing page and requesting a product demo would be scored higher um, to a clear intent, due to a clear intent to purchase. So, implementing lead nurturing strategies, once you've identified high quality leads, the next step is nurturing them until they are sales ready, right? So, this slide here is almost the so what of this. And I say it's the so what because it's kind of, oh, great. I'm scoring my leads. Now what? Um, because earlier on here, um, we're looking at sort of different be- behavior indicators, right? It's how frequent they visit, how many downloads they do, how many inquiries they make. But once you've now summed up all of this and you've said, okay, John is a lead that scores 80 out of 100, what do? You can do a personalized email campaign. So, sending targeted emails based on the lead's interests and behaviors, whether you're talking about the specific item on the page that they've been visiting, or the thing that they've been clicking, or you're speaking about the topic or the crux of all the webinars that they've attended, but you're sending them a personalized email based on the interest they have shown. And so, an example here is a software company might send tailored how to guides or case studies to leads who have shown interest in their analytics tools. So you're sending them more information because they've shown the interest. Again, the key here is the word nurture. You want to nurture that interest. And so this is a personalized email campaign. Let's look at educational content. So for educational content, so you offer value through blog posts, instructional videos, and webinars relevant to your leads needs. And here again, I mentioned earlier on, your long tail content has and should be long, should be big, because this is how you can then nurture interest. You nurture interest with your long tail content because a lot of it is already there and it speaks to things that can combat and prevent objections. So imagine a fitness equipment provider offering workout tutorials and nutrition advice to an engaged lead while considering their purchase option. So that workout tutorial or that nutrition advice that they're offering, it's literally a piece of the fitness equipment brand, of the fitness of what the fitness equipment, let's say, offers, right? Because you're literally feeding that person's need and desire to improve their fitness and to remain healthy. Hence, you're nurturing their interest. That's what it is. And those workout tutorials, that nutrition advice, it should be freebies. There should be freebies that the fitness equipment provider provides as part of their long tail content. Social media engagement, I'm not fully in agreement with this one, or I don't think it's the best one because it's hard for you to sort of nurture interest through social media engagement specifically. I believe nurturing strategies should be things that you proactively do that then have an end result. You see, with social media content, you can exactly direct John to your LinkedIn post as a nurturing strategy, right? But let's read into this. So maintaining regular touch points with leads by engaging them on social platforms. I suppose what we are referring to, what the team was referring to when they put this together is, um, you can go and like John's post on social media as part of nurturing, or you can go and comment on the post on social media as a way of nurturing their interest. So, responding to comments, sharing valuable insights, and maintaining visibility keeps your brand top of mind, right? I don't think it's the most effective way, but it is a way. It's not the best way, but it is a way. So, seeing how personalized and consistent engagement can transform a curious lead into a committed customer underscore the importance of nurturing. So, personalized and consistent engagement, it can transform a curious lead into a committed customer, right? Again, it emphasizes the importance of nurturing. You want to nurture as much as you can. Otherwise, that interest goes away. Otherwise, that interest goes to a competitor. Otherwise, that interest just fades away. Um, Nice. So let's look at a real world story here. We're almost done. I think we've got maybe 10 slides to go. So here's a real world example. So picture a SaaS company implementing these strategies. By implementing a clear criteria and utilizing a lead scoring system, they ident- they identified a pool of high quality leads primarily engaging with educational content about data security. Then they launched a series of personalized email campaigns and hosted exclusive webinars for this segmented list, offering deeper insights into data protection strategies, ultimately seeing a significant increase in conversion. And what this real world example, it's literally the it's a real life funnel, right? Because that's inevitably what a funnel is. You put 1,000 leads into the top of the funnel, and onto the next phase you get 500, and then onto the next one 250, onto the next one 100, and so on and so forth until because they lose interest, or um, they just find out more about your product or service and realize that it's not a good fit. And finding out that it's not a good fit, it's never a bad thing, right? Sure, you can learn from every time you come across that, but finding out it's not a good fit, it just means that you just move on to the next one. There's so many people out there today that being a good fit is not a bad thing. So by developing stringent criteria for high quality leads, leveraging lead scoring data, and implementing calculated lead nurturing strategies, your ability to convert leads into loyal customers becomes substantially optimized, right? Totally optimized because you're focusing on what's more important and you're not focusing on what's not important. Those two combined, very powerful. It's the fact that they're both happening at the same time. Is that you're identifying what's important, focusing on that, you're identifying what's not important, not focusing on that. This comprehensive approach not only streamlines the sales pipeline but ensures more efficient use of resources, driving long term business growth. So you want to use your resources to the best of your ability. If you've only got 8 hours a day or however many hours you've got a day that you can make things happen, you want to focus on the things that have a higher probability of actually happening. So this is the last one, managing and closing leads in a team. This is the last part for today. And you probably know, what are we starting with? Did you know? So did you know that companies that excel in effective lead nurturing strategies generate a remarkable 50% more sales ready leads, uh, while achieving this impressive feat at a cost of 33% lower. This is very similar to the stat we read earlier on, I think, I feel. Sounds compelling and intriguing, right? It does. It also sounds like something we spoke about earlier on. So, effective lead management is key to success. Managing and closing leads efficiently is critical to any sales oriented organization. Doesn't matter what your organization does. If it's sales oriented, managing and closing leads is very important to you. So it can spell the difference between achieving quarterly targets and falling short. Simple as that. Um, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into this. So lead assignment. Here's the first one. So if you're closing, And managing leads in a team, who and when you assign the lead to is very important. It makes a huge difference. So assigning leads correctly sets the stage for effective engagement. Imagine a salesperson drowning in leads, unable to prioritize efficiently. Chaos is inevitable. Instead, distributing leads according to the team's members' strengths, geographical locations, or expertise areas can ensure quicker and more personalized responses. So, for example, a SaaS company identified that Jason excels in handling large enterprise accounts, while Maria thrives with small business, SMB, small to medium businesses. So, by categorizing the leads and assigning them accordingly, you will see a 20% increase in conversion rates within just 3 months. And this is just because Jason works better with large companies, while Maria works better with small size. So, what are your prioritization mechanisms? So, prioritization is the next crucial step. Once you've actually defined how you assign it, um, once the lead is actually assigned, who is working on it, how they prioritize it is very important. So, a CRM makes this process seamless by enabling lead scoring, assessing metrics like demographics, behavior based. High scoring leads are followed up urgently, while others can be managed as per their potential. But your prioritization mechanisms need to be there. And one of the best things about a CRM is that it gives you the holistic view. You're able to look and see all of your leads together and in all of the different sort of columns or a different criteria related to each lead. And that can be very powerful. So, an example, by implementing the lead scoring system, an online education platform was able to identify students more likely to enroll in premium courses. So, this led to a 40% rise in premium course subscriptions in just 1 quarter, right? And this is just by being able to identify students who are more likely to enroll, whether it's because they were in the right, or whether because they had the right grades, whether it's whatever it's based on. But it's just about we're able to identify and we prioritize based on this identification. On to the next one. So tracking leads, ensure nothing falls through the cracks. I once had I don't want to call it an argument, but I once had a heated discussion with a gentleman at a particular bank because one of the top banks, mind you. So we had this heated exchange because I had spoken to three different people, and each person had told me a different thing. So of course, once I was having the conversation with this third person, I clearly voiced that I was expecting to be, when I speak, whether it's John, whether it's Mary, whether it's Absalon, I don't know. If they work for the bank, I expect that they're talking to each other, right? Which is not the case. So if you let things fall through the cracks, um, it just makes a bad impression. So tracking every interaction with a potential customer is essential for insightful engagement. And you could not speak about this without using the three-letter word CRM, customer relationship management, right? Because this is the one place where you are expected to guard and keep this sort of information. Right, it's almost like a doctor who see whenever they see a patient and they do a diagnosis and they recommend medication, you've got to keep that log, whether it's a different doctor, whether it's a nurse, but you've got to keep that log so that you know what is happening with the patient. So utilize a robust CRM system to keep a timeline of communications, setting reminders and follow-ups, and automating routine tasks. An example here is a financial service firm that integrated a CRM for lead tracking, reported a 35% improvement in follow-up efficiency, reducing the sales cycle by 20%. The team could immediately see each lead's journey, spotting opportunities for engagement and swiftly addressing concerns. So, what about if you're collaborating with the sales team? So, collaboration with the sales team it needs a synergistic approach. So, synchronizing lead management with the team, with the sales team's closing processes enriches your customer journey. But it is something that is essential and it must be done. So regular interdepartmental meetings can address hurdles, refine messaging alignment, and ensure no information is lost during handoffs. So especially if you have a sales team, like I mean, if the person who closes the sale in your organization is not the person who is going to actually perform the work and maintain a relationship with that customer, with that person who has now transitioned from lead to customer, then you need a handoff. You need a meeting. That conversation needs to happen. You don't want the customer to feel like they've just been thrown or handed off just like that, right? That conversation needs to happen. I often try to bring my team in as early on in the process as possible. So if we're talking to a potential lead, I like to bring them in and speak about the project, especially because our work is creative. It just allows us to speak and bounce ideas around, right? It also adds more, it gives more value to the customer because when we're still in the lead phase, we're actually giving them ideas that may actually, follow through and be used into the actual project should it become one. So an example here is a tech company optimized its lead to sales transitions through weekly sync ups between the sales and the marketing teams. See, weekly sync ups, these golden words, so important. They fine-tuned their lead scoring criteria hand in hand, resulting in a streamlined pipeline where every lead was nurtured appropriately before being handed over to sales. So consequently, the conversion rates jumped by 27%. So just having a fine-tuned hand in hand, um, just a handoff, it needs to actually exist. Excuse me. And above all, if you can actually have a process, uh, that's also very important. It makes a massive difference. So support the sales cycle. The ultimate goal is converting leads into customers. And so by ensuring a smooth lead management process encompassing lead assignment, prioritization, and tracking, we support the sales team um, to focus on closing, right? It's if all of that work is being done well. It just everything else just flows. And so an efficient sales pipeline guarantees that each member is on the same page and making the lead handling experience cohesive, less prone to errors. Your Salesforce and your HubSpots that we spoke earlier on, they literally eliminate all of these possibilities. And so a B2B service provider adopted a new CRM, enabling real-time updates on lead status. Sales reps could then tailor their approach based on the most recent interactions captured within the system. This alignment not only boosted sales morale, but also led to a 30% uplift in successful deals closed. And so, this is the effective lead management. It's key to success. And so, we'll go over just a few other remarks before we close off with why a CRM makes sense. Uh, so, why lead management matters? So, without proper lead management, promising leads are just neglected, follow ups are missed, and conversion opportunities just slip through the cracks. Effective lead management ensures that every lead is nurtured, engaged, and potentially converted. Again, nurture is a huge part. You've got to nurture in order for you to be able to then reap the rewards or be able to close those leads. So, implementing these essential steps, make sure that you keep the lines of communication open and transparent within your team. A strong process is also very important. You cannot overemphasize. The process has to be well detailed and known. I almost say like you've got to be able to know the process back to front, front to back, only because different anomalies happen. right? And so you've got to be able to follow the process, and the process has to allow for deviations as well, because for every rule there's an exception, and for every exception there's a rule. And so you're bound to see significantly improved outcomes in your sales metrics if you follow these basics that we've spoken here today. So therefore, embrace these effective strategies wholeheartedly, and watch your lead conversion rates soar to new heights. By infusing the teamwork ethos into your lead management efforts, deploying a comprehensive CRM, of course, that is a big part of it as well, and continuously refining your approach, your organization can efficiently navigate the complex terrain of lead engagement and closure. As you witness your sales metrics improve, appreciate the power of effective lead management in driving success. You will also really appreciate the order, because that is another thing that a lead scoring system gives you. So I had said there were four, there's actually five. So why CRM just makes everything simpler and faster. Again, with our did you know that that businesses that are utilizing a CRM system can potentially boost their sales figures by an impressive margin of up to 29%. This remarkable increase in sales is largely attributed to the fact that CRMs effectively streamlined the process of lead management, which significantly enhances both the efficiency and the effectiveness. The efficiency and the effectiveness, I said that one again, of sales operations. By organizing and prioritizing leads, CRMs allow businesses to nurture relationships the, with potential customers more effectively, ultimately leading to increased conversion rates and higher overall revenue. So let's explore what some of the benefits of using a CRM are. I think CRMs are so popular right now that I think most people kind of really understand the crux of them. But so we'll go through this pretty quickly. So precision in lead scoring. So lead scoring involves assigning points to prospects based on demographics. We kind of covered a lot of this already. A CRM streamlines this by automatically scoring leads using predefined criteria. Right? So the CRM is just adding precision to your lead scoring. So efficient lead nurturing, you see the nurturing word there again. Nurturing leads effectively requires a comprehensive approach that emphasizes consistent and highly personalized communication strategies. Customer relationship systems, or CRMs, play a crucial role in automating and streamlining this process by providing various functionalities that enhance lead engagement. So they achieve this by segmenting leads into specific categories, allowing businesses to send targeted and relevant content that resonates with each particular group. It just makes nurturing leads far more efficient and effective, because you're able to gauge and know the interest and have all the information in one place, right? So automatically triggering personalized emails based on the lead's actions, ensuring that responses are timely and contextually appropriate, which fosters a deeper connection between the business and its potential customers. So, improved lead management, how does that happen? So, improved lead management, or centralized lead management, is a centralizing the lead management process within your CRM system means that every team member, regardless of the role, can effectively access up to date data, and the up to date is very important, right? So you just manage leads more efficiently because everybody is on the same page, right? So instead of the sales agent spending valuable time rummaging through countless emails to locate specific lead details, I have been there. It is so painful. I've worked in an organization where nothing is organized. It's like you're literally looking for somebody's phone number. You gotta go and search through hundreds of emails. It is chaos, insane. They can quickly and efficiently retrieve comprehensive profiles, detailed communication history, even being able to see previous email communication if they were not the sender, because it's just a hub. It centralizes your information in one place. And so clearly defined next steps directly from the organized CRM dashboard. You know what your next step is because you see the sales pipeline right there, whether it's in a Kanban, board, whatever it is. And so the streamlined approach not only saves time but also enhances collaboration and productivity across the entire team. Perfect segue for cross-team collaboration. A significant advantage of CRMs is the ability to enhance cross-team collaboration. Marketing, sales, customer service, all the teams often work in silence, but despite needing to share crucial insights. So with the CRM, so they provide a single source of truth. It's updated uh, on the time. It lives in the cloud. 9 times out of 10, it's probably got a mobile app. So everywhere you go on your phone, you've got the information as well. So assigns tasks and follow-ups, and it's to the appropriate teams, and ensures nothing falls through the cracks. Um, Data centralization kind of ties in with what we spoke or the previous point, right? So just actionable insights. A key hurdle in lead management is the fragmentation of customer data across various platforms, right? And this comes down to what I was just saying now, when you've got to go through hundreds of emails just to find a phone number. So if you are not um, fragmenting your data across various platforms. It's this one place. Makes everything so much simpler. All data is centralized, providing a holistic view of the customer journey. And so features like data analytics and reporting offer actionable insights such as identifying bottlenecks in the sales funnel for or effective marketing strategies. And so I kind of rushed things a little bit there towards the end just because I want to be able to get to I want to make sure we've got enough time for the example, of course. So, real life example, this is not the example. I mean, the example where I show you my lead scoring bot. So, consider a company like Company ABC. They've originally struggled significantly to manage leads effectively using spreadsheets that were cumbersome and inefficient. After adopting a comprehensive CRM system, they experienced a remarkable transformation. They automated their lead scoring and nurturing processes, which saved them countless hours each week. um, it will save you almost hours a day, like just working in something that's that organized. So, additionally, the sales and marketing teams began to collaborate seamlessly and efficiently, relying on the CRM to track lead movement and through various stages of the sales funnel. They utilized detailed CRM insights to refine their strategies continually, ultimately leading to an impressive 20% increase um, in lead conversions within just 6 months of implementation, which is really cool. Um, so that was sort of a fictional example. So some final thoughts. Maybe we do the final thoughts because that's the last slide. Okay, we'll do the final thoughts and then I'll do the example. No? Why don't we do this? Let's do the demo first. Let's do the demo first. And so we've spoken about lead scoring. That's what today was all about. So I've created this bot. It took me a good month or two to work, train, and so it's trained on my website and all the information that's on there, obviously, and as well as our pricing. So it's got access to we've got all of our Excel sheet on our pricing, and it's got instructions that it is a lead scoring bot. It knows how it's intended to spell out the information. Its name, it's called Olga. So Olga is our lead scoring bot, and so I'm talking a lot. Why don't we give Olga a little test? So we could say something like, I met John Doe at a networking meeting today. He has a dog grooming parlor on Danforth Avenue and does not have a website, but he does a lot of stuff on Facebook. His email is john@gmail.com, and his phone number is 416-123-4567. And he mentioned that he got a grant approved, so has a budget, so has a large budget for advertising. So what Olga is trained to do is help me turn this blurb, a conversation like this, right, into actionable information that I can copy and paste into my CRM with a lead score. So I noticed that we were losing a lot of leads because leads weren't always being documented. We weren't always documenting everything, things like that. And so Olga it takes all of that away, right? And so literally, I can go to a meeting like this and something like this happens, which it does happen in real life. I can put it into Olga and now watch what happens when I hit enter. So she takes all of the information that I've just given her, and not only does she summarize what I've just provided, um, yeah, not only does she take what I took and just kind of give it to me in a very summarized way, but in the end, you see here she says, Marcia, does this summary and recommendation align with your understanding of the lead? So if I don't like what she did, I can literally ask her to do it again. But let's look at what she did. Thank you for the information. Let's compile the details and assess the lead for you. She gave the name and opportunity, dog parlor, dog grooming parlor on Danforth Avenue. She separated the name from the last name. She company. She identified that we haven't provided the name. She gave the role of the person that I spoke to. She was able to separate the email, the phone number, lead score. So she's saying to be determined. So she's probably saying to be determined because she does not have enough information about the lead's interest, even though I mentioned that it's got a big budget, right? So that's not enough. I could probably prompt her, and we can probably try that, and we can say, hey, can you give this lead a score? So lead source, networking meeting, service to be determined based on recommendations. So this is why she hasn't given us a lead score or a recommended service because we don't know, right? So person notes, she writes some notes on the person, she writes some notes on the company. So lead score assessment based on the information provided, industry relevance is high, budget considerations is high, urgency needs medium to high, potential fit of services high. Actually, so here she did give a lead score. Okay, it's not up there, lead score to be determined. Okay, but she did mention it down here. Okay, and then service recommendation. Okay, so the service recommendations. Okay, so I have two options here. I can go with this, or I can say something like, "Can you please give me a more robust lead score? I don't like what you gave." Um, we know John is interesting, but he is also talking to three other agencies, and he thinks our price is a little high. So, as we feed more information to Olga, she goes, thinks about it, comes back, and you see she's giving me now, she's updated the lead scoring to 75. So it's really fun. I could say I don't agree with the recommended services. Can you please revise them um, and give me the entire lead information again, as I need it in one message. And you'll see why. So when we trained Olga, and then Olga is fantastic. I can't complain. I cannot say enough good things about her. But there is one thing that she does not yet do, which we are. I'm sure we'll get it right in the next short in the or in the short term. But she does not send the information directly to the CRM automatically. All she is trained to do is she's a bot who converses. She's a language learning model. That's what she is. And so, to because I wanted the full thing to be automated, right? I really wanted to be lazy on this one, and so um, and here she's done it again. She's given, well, she's sort of run the request again, and given us a new lead score and also revised the services. So if I am now happy with this and I can say, hey Olga, great job, she'll say thank you very much, blah blah blah. But now, if I want this information to go to my CRM, and it's the last thing I'll show, I created a webhook with Typedesk. So if I go on here and I put in a semicolon and I say new lead, this happens. So no matter where I am, um, this will show up. And the reason this shows up is so type desk is a hotkey response. And so I set up a hotkey response with a webhook to my CRM. So whenever I chat to Olga, I pull up type desk and I put in the opportunity name, the last name, the company, the role, the email, the phone, the lead score, the lead source, and anything else. And once I complete all of this and I hit enter, that then sends it webhooks all the information to my CRM. And I'm not going to do that in this video. I'll probably do a whole other video because I'm planning on doing a whole video on Olga, only because I think Olga is so phenomenal. But I'll eventually do that, and you probably see the video out. But I don't want to do it now just because this is gonna send um, false information to my CRM or fictional information to my CRM. But I hope that you kind of get it, like just how this is, and this is how I want to sort of end this is. This is the power of lead scoring, and this is how customized you can make it. Where like Olga is not just giving me a score, as you can see, she's also giving me notes on the company. She's giving me notes on the person. I like this. I also like this message, right? Just how she summarizes all of this, and I'm just copying and pasting it into this little window right here. And so this is something that saves me time, saves me and the team time, and it makes us more efficient. And as you can imagine, when this webhook runs and the lead is actually added to the CRM, everybody that needs to gets an email. Um, so, final thoughts. With that, we'll bring it back to the final thoughts. So, in summary, a comprehensive CRM system simplifies and significantly speeds up the processes involved in lead management and tracking by efficiently streamlining lead nurturing, um, lead scoring, nurturing, and overall management. Sorry about that. While also fostering enhanced cross team collaboration and centralizing vital data and actionable insights. Businesses can drive much better lead outcomes and significantly improve overall operational efficiency. So, a well implemented CRM can thus serve as the pivotal tool that transforms how teams handle leads, ensuring that no valuable opportunity is missed and every promising prospect is followed up on in an effective and timely manner. If you haven't yet harnessed the full power of a potential of a CRM system, now might be the perfect moment to explore its numerous benefits and see how it can truly revolutionize your lead management process in ways you may not have previously imagined. I hope that you saw value and that you learned something new here today about scoring your leads, and that hopefully that you can take this and implement it into your lead generation efforts. And I'd love to hear about your successes too, either in the links at the bottom of this video or anything, and hopefully you come to one of these sometime too, because we also will host these type webinar type events where we talk about topics and have people over. So awesome. Thank you again, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.